Your alarm goes off on a Tuesday morning. You roll out of bed, and your back reminds you that sleeping wrong now has consequences that last for days. You shuffle to the bathroom mirror and suddenly realize something that makes your stomach drop. When did you become middle-aged? When did your reflection start looking more like your parents than the young person you still feel like inside? Here's what nobody tells you about hitting your 40s. Everyone focuses on the physical changes, the gray hairs, the weird sounds your joints make when you stand up. But there's something else happening that most people completely miss. Your 40s are when money can finally start working harder for you than you work for it. The problem is most people waste this golden decade because they don't understand the game has completely changed. I'm Tim, and on this channel, I help you actually understand money so you can make calm, confident decisions about your life. So if that sounds helpful, make sure you hit subscribe and stick around. If you're in your late 30s or 40s and feeling the pressure, this one is for you. Think about it. You're finally earning decent money. You've made enough mistakes to have learned some lessons, and you still have enough time ahead of you for compound interest to perform actual magic. But here's the catch. Your 40s come with financial pressures that would terrify your 20-something self. Aging parents who need help. Teenagers who somehow cost more than small developing nations to maintain. And the creeping realization that retirement isn't some distant fantasy anymore, but an actual deadline you need to prepare for. Most people approach their 40s like they're still in their 30s, just with more responsibilities. They keep the same financial habits, the same mindset, the same strategies that got them this far, and then they wonder why their bank account still looks depressingly similar to what it looked like 5 years ago, despite earning more money than ever before. The truth is, your 40s require a completely different financial playbook. The strategies that work in this decade can set you up for life. The mistakes you make now can haunt you for the next 30 years. Today, we're going to walk through the financial milestones that separate people who retire comfortably from people who spend their golden years worrying about money. Before we dive in, let me address the elephant in the room. Maybe you're looking at your current financial situation and feeling like you're already behind. Maybe you're thinking it's too late to make meaningful changes. Here's what I want you to understand. Your 40s are actually the perfect time to get serious about wealth building. Even if you're starting from scratch. You have advantages now that you didn't have in your 20s or 30s. Your earning power is at its peak. You understand yourself better. You've developed skills and expertise that other people will pay for. And most importantly, you still have 20 to 25 years before retirement. That's enough time for compound interest to work absolute miracles if you give it the chance. Let's start with the milestone that makes most people's eyes glaze over. But it's absolutely crucial. By the time you turn 50, you need to have 6 times your annual salary saved for retirement. I know that sounds enormous. If you're earning $80,000 a year, we're talking about $480,000 in retirement accounts. Before you start hyperventilating, let me explain why this number matters and how it's more achievable than you think. And this milestone puts you on track to have 10 times your salary saved by retirement age, which is what most financial experts agree you need to maintain your lifestyle without working. Here's where the math becomes your friend instead of your enemy. If you hit that 6 times salary milestone by 50 and continue contributing 15% of your income to retirement accounts, compound interest does most of the heavy lifting for the next 17 years. Let's say you have that $480,000 at 50. With modest 7% annual returns, that money grows to over $1.6 million by age 67. You're not doing anything heroic during those 17 years except staying consistent. The money is growing itself. And just to be clear, this is a guideline, not a law. If you earn far less or far more than the typical household, your real target should be based on your expenses, not just your income. But what if you're behind on this milestone? Here's the beautiful thing about turning 50. The government actually gives you a bonus opportunity to catch up. Once you hit 50, you can make additional catch-up contributions to retirement accounts. We're talking about an extra $7,000 annually in your 401k and an extra $1,000 in your IRA. That's like getting permission to turbocharge your retirement savings precisely when you need it most. The second milestone is something most people resist because it feels impossible. Achieving complete debt freedom except for your mortgage. Notice I said except for your mortgage because let's be realistic, most people in their 40s still have 15 to 20 years left on their home loans. Trying to pay off a mortgage while maximizing retirement contributions and possibly funding college educations is like juggling flaming torches while riding a bicycle. But everything else needs to disappear. Credit card balances, car payments, student loans, personal loans, all of it. Your 40s are when you should be in full wealth building mode, and debt payments are like trying to run a marathon while carrying a refrigerator on your back. Let me show you what debt freedom looks like in real numbers. Imagine you're currently paying $600 monthly for car payments, $300 for student loans, and $200 minimum on credit cards. That's $1,100 every month that vanishes into other people's pockets. Over 10 years, that's $132,000 that could have been building your wealth instead of making banks wealthy. But here's where it gets really painful. If you invested that $1,100 monthly in diversified stock funds, earning 8% annually, after 10 years, you'd have over $200,000. After 20 years, you'd have over $650,000. That's the real cost of debt in your 40s. Not just the money you're paying now, but all the compound growth you're sacrificing for the next 2 decades. I learned this lesson personally when I was 38 and still had a car payment. I convinced myself I deserved something nice after getting promoted. That $400 monthly payment seemed reasonable at the time. But when I calculated what that money could grow into over 20 years, I realized I was essentially trading a comfortable retirement for the privilege of driving something shiny. I paid off that car in 8 months and drove it for another 6 years. Best financial decision I made in my late 30s. The third milestone is building what I call your fortress emergency fund. In your 30s, 6 months of expenses was probably adequate. In your 40s, you need 9 to 12 months of living expenses saved, possibly more if you're self-employed or work in an unstable industry. Why the increase? Because your emergencies are more expensive now. Your house decides the furnace needs replacing right before your daughter starts college. Your teenager needs dental work that insurance doesn't cover. Your aging parent has a fall and needs home modifications. Or maybe an incredible investment opportunity comes along that requires quick action. According to recent data, the median emergency fund for people in their 40s is about $14,000. That might sound decent until you realize that average monthly expenses for households in this age group are around $5,000. Most people have less than 3 months of expenses saved, which is nowhere near adequate for this stage of life. The key is keeping this money somewhere. It earns decent interest while remaining immediately accessible. High-yield savings accounts currently offer around 4 to 5%. That's not going to make you rich, but it helps your emergency fund keep pace with inflation while it waits to rescue you from whatever crisis comes next. The fourth milestone might surprise you: developing multiple income streams beyond your primary job. Your 40s are when you should think strategically about income diversification, not because your job is necessarily at risk, but because relying on a single source of income in today's economy is like building your house on quicksand. This doesn't mean becoming some hustle culture warrior working 18 hours a day on 17 different businesses. It means thoughtfully developing additional revenue sources that align with your skills, interests, and available time. Maybe rental property income, maybe consulting work in your area of expertise, maybe dividend income from a well-built investment portfolio, maybe royalties from that book you've been thinking about writing for 5 years. The beautiful thing about building multiple income streams in your 40s is that you have decades of experience to draw from. You're not starting from scratch like someone in their 20s. You understand your industry, you have professional networks, you've developed skills that other people will pay for. I know someone who's a software engineer at a major tech company. In her early 40s, she started doing weekend consulting work for smaller companies that couldn't afford full-time senior developers. What began as occasional weekend projects grew into steady side income of about $2,000 monthly. That extra $24,000 annually goes straight into her investment accounts, essentially giving her a 30% boost to her wealth building without requiring her to leave her day job. The fifth milestone is getting serious about tax optimization strategies. In your 40s, you're likely in your peak earning years, which means you're probably in the highest tax bracket you've ever experienced. The difference between paying 32% in taxes versus 24% on that extra income isn't just about this year's refund. It's about having significantly more money available to build wealth over the next 2 decades. This is where maxing out tax-advantaged accounts becomes crucial. Contributing the full amount to your 401k plus catch-up contributions once you hit 50, adding $6,000 annually to a Roth IRA, you're sheltering over $36,000 from current taxation every year. But tax optimization goes beyond retirement accounts. If you're self-employed or have side income, there are additional strategies like SEP IRAs or solo 401k plans that can shelter even more money. If you own rental property, you can depreciate the property to offset rental income. If you have kids in college, education tax credits can save thousands annually. The key is understanding that tax planning isn't just about April 15th. It's about making strategic decisions throughout the year that minimize your lifetime tax burden while maximizing your wealth building potential. For many people in their 40s, working with a tax professional becomes worth the investment because the strategies available at higher income levels can save far more than the professional fees cost. The 6th milestone is something most people ignore until it's too late. Long-term care planning. Here's a statistic that might keep you awake at night. 70% of people over 65 will need some form of long-term care during their lifetime. The average cost of nursing home care is now over $7,000 monthly. Most health insurance plans, including Medicare, provide very limited coverage for long-term care. This isn't about being pessimistic. It's about being realistic about the financial implications of living longer than previous generations. If you need 3 years of nursing home care in your 80s, that's potentially a $250,000 expense that could completely wipe out your retirement savings and leave your spouse financially devastated. Long-term care insurance is one option, though it's gotten more expensive and less comprehensive over the years. Some people choose to self-insure by building larger retirement account balances specifically to cover potential care costs. Others explore hybrid life insurance policies that include long-term care benefits. The critical thing is addressing this in your 40s when you're still healthy and have options. Waiting until your 60s, when health issues start appearing, can make long-term care insurance prohibitively expensive or unavailable. It's like trying to buy flood insurance after the hurricane warnings have been issued. The 7th milestone is creating your financial legacy plan. This goes beyond basic estate planning documents, though those are obviously important. This is about intentionally designing how your wealth will impact your family and potentially your community for generations to come. If you have children, this might mean funding education savings accounts that could cover college, graduate school, or professional training. It might mean establishing investment accounts that give your children a head start on building their own wealth. It might mean teaching your teenagers about investing and money management so they don't repeat your financial mistakes. But legacy planning isn't just about your immediate family. Maybe it's about supporting causes you care about through charitable giving or volunteer work. Maybe it's about mentoring younger people in your profession or community. Maybe it's about building businesses or investments that create jobs and economic opportunity for others. Your 40s are when you start thinking beyond just accumulating wealth for your own security. You start thinking about how that wealth can create positive impact that extends far beyond your lifetime. This shift in perspective often leads to more thoughtful financial decisions and a greater sense of purpose around money management. The 8th milestone might be the most important one for your long-term financial success. Developing what I call wealth-building momentum. This is the point where your money starts growing faster than you can spend it, even when you're not being particularly careful about every purchase. Here's how you know you've achieved wealth-building momentum. Your net worth increases more from investment returns than from your contributions. Your emergency fund earns more in interest than many people save in an entire year. You start getting excited about market downturns because you know they're giving you opportunities to buy investments at discount prices. This momentum doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of consistently living below your means, maximizing tax-advantaged savings, maintaining diversified investment portfolios, and giving compound interest time to work its magic. But once you achieve it, wealth building becomes almost automatic. I remember the exact moment I realized I had achieved wealth building momentum. It was a Tuesday morning, and I was checking my investment accounts over coffee. My portfolio had grown more in the previous month than I had contributed in the previous 6 months. Not because the market had done anything spectacular, but because compound interest had finally reached that inflection point where the snowball becomes an avalanche. The ninth milestone is mastering the art of strategic spending in your peak earning years. This might sound counterintuitive in a discussion about building wealth, but your 40s are when you need to find balance between saving for the future and enjoying the present. The goal isn't to live like a monk for the next 2 decades. It's to spend intentionally on things that actually improve your life while avoiding the lifestyle inflation trap that keeps most high earners broke. Strategic spending means understanding the difference between expenses that enhance your life and expenses that just make you feel temporarily better about your life. A family vacation that creates lasting memories and strengthens relationships is strategic spending. Upgrading to a luxury car because you think it makes you look successful is lifestyle inflation. It means investing in your health through quality food, regular exercise, and preventive medical care, because those investments pay dividends for decades. It means spending money on experiences and relationships rather than accumulating more stuff that will end up in garage sales. It also means being willing to spend money on services that free up your time for more valuable activities. Maybe hiring a house cleaner so you can spend weekends with your family instead of doing laundry. Maybe paying for meal delivery during busy periods at work. Maybe hiring a financial planner so you can focus on your career instead of trying to become an expert in tax law. The key is making sure every significant spending decision aligns with your values and long-term financial goals rather than being driven by impulse, social pressure, or the need to project success to people whose opinions don't actually matter. The 10th milestone is mastering intelligent financial automation. By now, you should have your money working so efficiently that wealth building happens without you thinking about it every month. We're talking about setting up systems so reliable that even if something happened to you tomorrow, your financial plan would keep running smoothly. This goes beyond having your paycheck automatically deposited. We're talking about creating a financial ecosystem where money flows exactly where it needs to go without requiring your constant attention. Your emergency fund automatically maintains its target balance. Your retirement contributions increase every year without you remembering. Your investment accounts rebalance themselves. Your bills get paid on time, even when you're on vacation somewhere without reliable internet. The technology exists right now to automate almost every aspect of your money management. The question is whether you're using it or still manually moving money around like it's 1995 and you're balancing a checkbook with a pencil. Here's why this matters so much. In your 40s, you're juggling more financial complexity than ever before. You might be managing retirement accounts from multiple employers, college savings for multiple children, investment accounts, rental properties, side business income, and possibly helping elderly parents with their finances. Trying to manually manage all this is like conducting a symphony orchestra while blindfolded and riding a roller coaster. Smart automation isn't about being lazy, it's about being strategic. Every minute you spend moving money between accounts or trying to remember which bills are due, when is a minute you're not spending on higher value activities like growing your career, building relationships, or actually enjoying the life you're working so hard to fund. The 11th and final milestone is learning how to strategically spend money to buy back your most valuable resource, which is your time. Your 40s are when you finally earn enough to start making this trade-off, and it's often the difference between people who build substantial wealth and people who stay stuck in the middle class forever. You're not late. Your 40s are just the first decade where money can finally work harder than you do. Your 40s are basically your financial championship decade. These 11 milestones aren't suggestions. They're your playbook for winning the wealth building game while you still have time on the clock. The beautiful thing is that unlike your 20s when you were broke and your 30s when you were overwhelmed, your 40s give you the perfect combination of earning power and financial wisdom to actually make this happen. Sure, you might be dealing with teenagers who think money grows on trees and parents who suddenly need help with everything. But you're also finally at the point where compound interest becomes your best friend instead of some abstract concept from a finance textbook. Don't let this decade slip by while you're busy putting out fires, because the decisions you make right now will determine whether you're enjoying a comfortable retirement or still working because you have to. Your future self is counting on the choices you make today. If this resonated with you and you want to continue learning how to build wealth without sacrificing your sanity, make sure to subscribe and check out the other videos on this channel. We're here to help you navigate the complex world of personal finance with practical strategies that actually work in the real world.